Shazazz Creations, your one-stop shop when it comes to customization. Totes, tees, tumblers, hats, and more. Looking for a customized gift idea for a graduation, birthday party, baby shower, or just a unique creation of your own? Check out Shazazz Creations as seen here on Whitney D TV. Female, black owned. Use my promo in the description box down below and let her know Whitney D of Whitney D TV sent you. Thank you. Bye.
What's up, Jewel Gang? So I would like to address this white woman who goes by the name of Nikki Marie on Facebook. Her page is private, but her DMs are wide open. You see, this scarecrow thought it'd be a good idea to slide in a black woman's DM, bully and harass her over having a small disability. Pause and read. Pause and read. Pause and read. You see, this beautiful black woman you decided to harass for having a small disability, when being compared to you is walking art. Black women are literally walking Picassos, which is why snow roaches like you envy us so much. You look like the cashier at H-E-B that has to call the manager every 5 seconds because you're too stupid to work the register. You look like splattered bird shit dried up on the side of someone's car. You couldn't match her beauty if she gave you an audio booklet with a step-by-step description on how to do so. And between me and you, I'm the bigger bully. Sit your ass down.
But you really lame. Think you really think you could play me? Well, you better think again. What you say these girls ain't loyal, but you got 7 girls sitting paying your phone. Now tell me who's really loyal? It ain't you. These boys ain't loyal, talking about us girls, saying that we all bodies. But us girls will hold it down, pick you up when you down, and give you anything you want. You're trying to run game that's already been played, gonna get your heart broken. Do you know who you are dealing with? Liar, liar. Thought you were slick. Liar, liar. But I'll always be flyer. Liar, liar. Thought you were slick, but I'll always be flyer.
What up, you guys? Welcome to Whitney DTV. First, let's get into everything, shall we? Welcome. I would love to see where you guys are tuning in from, so please make sure to place your city in the chat and I will make sure to shout you out. What's that? Oh, home of keeping it cute so you won't get the boot. That's right. Make sure you guys, please keep it cute so you won't get the boot. Okay, now what that means is that you do not have to agree with me or my remarks or opinions. This is my channel, however, and I ask that you respect me by respecting yourself. Whatever you have to say it with your chest, but make sure it is respectful. Okay, now in regards to everything that's going on with the R.Kelly trial and things of that nature, it is done. So I ask that you please respect my chat and do not spam my chat with your hashtag free R.Kellys or anything pertaining to that if we are not talking about the topic. Okay, not for nothing, you do not have to agree, so your opinion is duly noted here. Okay, if nothing further, make sure you guys do not forget to stop, like this video, subscribe if you have not, and sharing is caring, so make sure you guys share this video so I can reach a broader audience. Okay, now not for nothing, if you guys would like to join the channel, you can find the link located in the description box down below, or feel free to look above. That's right, right there in the chat. It should be pinned. If it's not, it should be by now. Okay, not for nothing, if you like to support me on a monetary basis, you can support me by Cash App through the money sign Whitney D 2014, or make sure you look at the bottom of the screen and there is located other means of ways to donate to the channel: PayPal, Zelle, or Cash App. Nothing more. Thank you and enjoy the show. Hello, you guys, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, don't be.
I'm Whitney.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Hey, I pray you guys are doing wonderfully. Okay, you guys like the new start of the show? I said I'm just gonna try to make it to where I can put everything out there so I don't have to do this. I can get right into saying hello to everybody. So I hope you guys like that and that suffices. Okay, hey Nini, how are you? Hey Miss J, welcome. Hey Nikki. Hey, me, myself, and I. That's all I got in the end. That's what I found out. And it ain't no need to cry. All right now. Hey, Linda. Hey, Laura. Pretty lady. How are you? Welcome back. Hey, West Coast. Well, hey, Nana. Hey, DM. Hello. Hi, representing the H-Town. What's up? By way of New Orleans. Hey, sophisticated. How are you, honey bunches? I'll take that. Hey, Shantae. How are you, honey? Pretty lady. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you guys for joining me for the continuation of the reading of Soulacoaster. Y'all know that we got into it and it was pretty daggone good. 1 second, y'all. Sorry, y'all. Mother duty calls. But anyways, you guys, we're about to get into the read of Soulacoaster. I am going to get pulled up. How's everybody doing? Before we get into this read, how is everybody doing this morning? Well, afternoon for a lot of you guys. How you guys doing? Oh my gosh. So before we get into this read, I actually wanted to do a little brief update that I found online in regards to the trial and like what's next. Now, many of you guys already know that this is not the end. Like this is the start of everything. So, like, it doesn't stop here. Get this pulled up. Give me a second, y'all. Okay, sorry, y'all. Bear with me. This internet is acting real janky. Okay, so here it is, and we're gonna see what they're saying in regards to everything. I don't know if you guys already saw this, but y'all know I tend to get my information by BNC. I love them; they've been on it for the most part. So let's check this out and see what they had to say, the latest, if you will.
Now, there will likely be lots of R. Kelly's sex trafficking and racketeering trial in the months and even years to come. So we're going to bring in now one of R. Kelly's attorneys, Steve Greenberg, to give his perspective on the case. He's representing the singer on federal charges that R. Kelly's facing in Illinois. Steve, thanks for your time this morning. So I've got to.
Well, I can't state enough how disappointed I was. We were involved in the New York trial for a long time, and in the months leading up to it, a couple of months beforehand, he made a decision to change his legal team. I was just saying this morning that it was sort of like starting Justin Fields in his first NFL game this weekend for the Bears, which didn't really work out too well. He went with a very inexperienced crew, and I think they got slaughtered. That's unfortunate because I think that he should have won that case. I don't think it was a racketeering enterprise. While there may be things, as people have said, in his past that he did that were wrong or immoral or distasteful, it doesn't really, in my opinion, rise to the level of a federal criminal case.
So it sounds like, Steve, you're taking issue with the racketeering portion of it. Elaborate on that for me.
Right. Well, what the prosecutors did, and people have recognized this, is they got extraordinarily creative. And I'm a firm believer that if a prosecutor has to get creative in order to figure out what you did that was illegal, then what you did probably wasn't illegal. Let's face it, they brought essentially a squirt gun to a knife fight. They didn't have any witnesses lined up, and they weren't prepared for it. There's problems with the jury instructions in the case. There's problems with the breadth of the evidence that was presented. I think it was an extraordinarily unfair trial where the government was allowed to bring in all sorts of other people to sort of tell their story without any backup, and they weren't charged crimes. It's what they call other crimes evidence, but there was way too much of it. It's why Bill Cosby's conviction got reversed in his case, because it's just patently unfair.
Well, I mean, we still heard some pretty damaging testimony, some graphic, information was brought to the stand. So how does that impact the case then? I mean, it's out there now, so that had to have impacted the jury's decision.
And now you're saying exactly what I'm saying. So what did that have to do with anything? For instance, he was alleged to have, in one instance, bribed somebody so that he could marry Aaliyah. What actually happened with Aaliyah, why that may have happened, wasn't relevant. He was alleged in a few incidents to have transported people across state lines for the purpose of having sex. That's fine. All that was relevant, and I'm a lawyer, so we break these things down, and like you said, jurors will look at it more broadly, which is why you want to narrow it down. They brought them across state lines for sex. What was relevant was they had sex. It wasn't relevant how they had sex. All these people that were allowed to say that R. Kelly gave them herpes when those particular counts of the charges didn't have anything to do with whether or not he gave them herpes. Just all sorts of problems. But his attorneys, and I don't mean to Monday morning quarterback everyone, but they were ill prepared. They didn't file the motions they needed to file. They didn't push back against the evidence, and he got railroaded and steamrolled.
All right. Well, you're still representing him for federal charges in Illinois. So
Correct.
What happens next? If you can wrap that up for us quickly.
Well, we'll have to see. He's not going to get sentenced till next May, so I suspect that everything will just sit and wait to see what happens. He faces decades in prison in New York, and then we'll see whether they want to go ahead or not.
All right, Steve Greenberg, we appreciate you and your time this morning. And we hope we can check in with you again as more develops in this case. His legal battle's certainly not over.
Okay, you guys heard that. I just, to be honest with you guys, this is the reason why we're seeing the other side, if you will, with this sort of energy. Okay. Because come on now. We didn't have to have not one witness hit that stand. We had evidence. It's just like it'd be different if this was a situation where you killed someone and then got rid of the body, got rid of the gun, the weapon or whatever. But no, like, dude, like what are we talking about? It was, and I saw some of the most craziest things in in the Facebook group that I'm on through Robert Keller. Shout out to him. He came on the platform last night, and y'all. Well, first off, shout out to the R.Kelly case open discussion. We stayed online with Mr. Angelo for hours, y'all. I didn't get off of here till about 1 o'clock, but I already knew it was a very momentous occasion. So I knew everybody named Mama was about to stay on there, So shouts out to everybody. And shouts out to Miss Kelly Rogers in the building. I love you, Mama. Love you, Mama Kelly. So shouts out to her. But yeah, so in the group, like the people were saying like that. I saw several different things. I saw one that Angelo got him taken down. I saw that the media, but it's contradictive because in the same breath they're saying that it was no media press. So which one was it? Which one is it? You know what I'm saying? And then, it was just a lot of different craziness that's out there. And I'm sorry, no shade, but by way of people like this, okay, you're no longer on the case. And now you're throwing shade at the defense team. But see, it doesn't alarm me because you had supporters fighting supporters of R. Kelly. So this old lawyer turning on the lawyers that were defending him, it makes perfect sense. You are your head, right? So it trickles down. So not for nothing, I just wanted to give you guys update. Know that his woes are not over. He still has to go to Illinois, and I think Minneapolis or Minnesota or something like that. So this is not over. And then furthermore, it's not over because sentencing is set to take place on next year, May 4th to be exact. And so we are actually collaborating with Mr. Angelo, as well as I think Miss Kelly, Miss Rogers. I don't shoot the messenger, but Mr. Angelo said that you said you was gonna be contributing a buzz too. Okay, but not for nothing, y'all. We're going to be getting together on behalf of the supporters. It's for sure, Mr. Angelo, and we're going to pack the bus down, and we're going to go and show support for the victims on May 4th of next year. So if you guys are interested, make sure to place your IG handle in the chat. We already have our teams forming to where they will grab it and they will be reaching out to you. Okay. Not for nothing, you guys. We're going to head to get into everything. I just wanted to give you guys an update with everything and know that this is not over. So you guys can make sure to, report back here for the latest updates. However, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm trying my best to segue off of R. Kelly. I hope that I still have you guys' love and support as I do so. We started the book reading, so I didn't want to just stop everything like that. So we're gonna continue to read this book. This book is good. Baby, honey child. Okay, like this book is good. So I don't have no problem in reading this, honey, and I don't care if it's 5 people because this book is good. So we left off where we heard about his mom. I didn't, very informative. Heard about his mom being into singing, and she, from what I'm hearing, he got his voice from his mama, right? And so then we go on to hear that he lost his childhood friend. by drowning. He watched her drown. He didn't know how to swim. Nobody else was helping. And so he went through a traumatic experience, even after going through the traumatic experiences that he already went through. Ms. Rogers says, I heard that I stated I would help. I know my brother threw that out there. He threw you smooth up under that same bus, Ms. Rogers. But anywho, so yeah, so now we're going to get into the continuation of Soulacoaster, the Diary of Me, which is the diary of R. Kelly. This is intriguing to say the least. Shouts out to everybody that did what they needed to do by constantly showing your love and support to the victims. And he's not getting out, and it is a bittersweet situation, like I said on last night, because I mean, I really believe if he got help, he wouldn't be in this situation. So it's not really an exciting moment, if you will. Justice is served, but a lot of people are damaged. A lot of families are damaged. A lot of individuals are damaged, including his. You know what I'm saying? He has children, and he's not going to be able to see them normally like that. I mean, he's not really been seeing them, but you know what I'm saying? So not for nothing, you guys, prayers up for R. Kelly and his family and everybody involved with this whole situation that were victimized by this man. This is not it's like a bittersweet, if you will. It's kind of like, yes, no, like, I get it, you know what I'm saying? But justice is served. And when you do a criminal act, you got to reap the consequences thereof. So unfortunately, he didn't learn from his opportunity of getting off as he did. And all the other times that he was able to pay under the table with situations. So unfortunately, know that you never get away with anything. You're only merely getting by. So not for nothing, you guys. Let's go ahead and get into this book. And yeah, let's go. I can't stomach it right now. Chat later. It's okay, Miss Rogers. This book actually isn't that bad. It's really not that bad. This is just about him. But I totally respect that. Love you, Miss Rogers. You be blessed. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get into everything. All right. You guys, I'm not going to be able to see my screen. So if you guys can please welcome everybody that comes in. And shouts out to Plain as Jane. She used our little musical clip on last night on her channel, and she shouted your girl out. So not for nothing. Shout out to Plain as Jane. I was able to have the honor of being in the in the New York Times with her. So that is and it was an amazing situation. So not for nothing, shout out to Plain as Jane. Okay. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get into everything. All right. Get everything set up. Sorry, I'm just finna look at my screen real quick. Hold on, y'all, because I got some food getting delivered. I'm starving, which I'm not going to even be able to eat until after this. Okay. All right. It's not here yet. Okay, so let's continue the dream. When I was about 9 years old, I had a strange dream. I'll never forget it. I was in this house where everything was white, walls, floors, ceiling, carpet, bricks on the fireplace, curtains at the windows. I saw myself seated at a white piano and playing a song. This was weird because at 9, I didn't know how to play any kind of instrument. But in this dream, the melodies were flying off the keys and filling the room. It was as if I was in the midst of a musical storm. Then suddenly, I heard the doorbell. I stopped playing and ran to see who was there. I opened the door, but no one was there. Stretching my neck to look in all directions, I couldn't see a thing. In the distance, though, I heard the faint sound of giggling. I didn't know who it was that was laughing or what they were laughing about. So I went back to the piano and the beautiful melodies and chords just started back up. Then the doorbell rang again and again. When I got to the door, no one was there, except this time the giggling was louder. The third time it happened, I was at the door practically before the bell rang. I desperately wanted to find out who it was doing all the giggling. I quickly opened the door, and standing there were musical notes, except they were all cartoon characters. I tried to reach out and touch them, but they took off and ran like the wind. I chased after them, giving it all I had, but they were too fast for me. I yelled as I could, "Hey, who are you guys?" They stopped dead in their tracks, turned around, and came back to me and said, "We're your biggest hit. We're your biggest hit song." Then, at the blink of an eye, they ran clean out of sight. I went back to the house and sat back down at the piano, and I played a melody that was like no other melody I'd ever heard. I began to sing the hook to the song, but for some strange reason, when I woke up, I could not remember what I was saying in the book, in the hook. Couldn't remember the words. It would take about 20 years, but the words came back and the dream made perfect sense. Uh-oh, there go this. I told y'all about this, about him turning the rim of his mama's coffee and putting his lips up to her lips. Child. So yeah, I told y'all about this. Y'all make sure y'all share this live. And subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Coffee with 3 creams and 6 sugars. We moved around a lot when I was young. We lived in the housing projects on 63rd Street on the south side before moving to a small place on 107th in Parnell. Back then, the projects didn't seem as bad as people make them out to be today. My family knew everybody in the neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood knew my family. We were always broke or not having the things we wanted. But I remember love taking the place of material things we wanted or needed. We might not have had the money to pay the rent a lot of times, but when I remember sitting out on the porch until 1 or 2 in the morning, listening to Al Green or Marvin Gaye and playing cards with my mom and my aunts and cousins, I wish I could have brought that part of my childhood with me into the world of success. Because now that I'm successful, that's what's missing in my life. The world I was born in, though, was filled with its own beauty. In the 63rd Street projects, nothing was more important than the game of basketball. I started hooping when I was 5 with street ball and haven't stopped since. Hooping was everywhere, and me and my brothers would hoop any chance we got. Hooping isn't just a hobby or a sport, it's a way of life. Now, unlike indoor supervised basketball and street ball, you had to adapt to the rules of the neighborhood where you played. Aggressive hand and leg checking was allowed. You could play full court or half court. Sometimes 3-pointers were 3-pointers, and other times they were just considered beautiful shots. There were no hardwood floors when you got knocked down. You landed on concrete or asphalt. Some hood courts had only a rim and backboard. Instead of familiar whoosh of the ball through stringed net, you listened for the clank of chain or the sweet sound of nothingness as the ball dropped through a netless rim. I love basketball because it helps me blow off steam. It gives me somewhere I can put some space between all the other things going on in my life, even music. Like music, hoop makes life good. I love it for the fast action and high energy, but I'm going to be straight. I'm also pretty damn good. And thousands of brothers play better than me, but no one loves the game more. Sorry about that, y'all. My daughter came in. Joanne Kelly knew about me in basketball early on. She had vision. Mom never looked behind, she looked ahead. She saw something in me that I couldn't have never seen myself. Oh, let me go down. She understood that I loved basketball more than most other kids. That's why she encouraged my passion for the sport. She knew that nappy head little Rob needed to feel worthy, strong, and proud. She saw how I loved to compete. So she let me play hoop as much as I wanted. Mom and I always had beautiful times together. It could be something as simple as getting up in the morning and walking to McDonald's. She didn't have enough money to buy a breakfast, only coffee for her and a Danish for us to share. To me, that was enough. I just wanted to be with her. She fixed her coffee with 3 creams and 6 sugars and tasted it to see if it was sweet enough. She wore this cheap red lipstick, and when she tasted her coffee, she left a red mark on the cup. She always asked me if I wanted a sip, and I always did. And because I loved my mother so much, I always turned the cup to where she had left that red mark. I like to drink from the same spot where she drank. One day, you're going to be famous, baby, she would say with a smile. But I didn't really know what famous meant. I remember famous like Al Green, she added. I mean, famous like Al Green, she added. Famous like Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye. See, you got a beautiful little singing voice that's only going to get bigger and stronger. And then I'm going to have enough money to buy you breakfast here every day. Right, Mom? I would ask. Yes, you will, sweetheart. You sure enough will. Now, my mother would take me back home and after dropping me off, get ready for work. She had a job at the hospital where she was training to be an EKG technician. Before she left, she never failed to kiss me goodbye. Be good today, baby, she said, and listen to your grandma. We lived in a typical Chicago 3 family building. We call them 3 flats. Grandma lived with her man, Uncle Carrie, on the top floor. Now, Uncle Carrie owned a TV repair shop, but some of his customers were never happy. They complained that after Uncle Carrie fooled with their TVs, they worked worse than before. Uncle Carrie said they just didn't want to pay their bills. Now, Grandma was heavy set, like Mom. I loved her. But the woman had her moods. I could tell when she had her mood swings on because she had Uncle Carrie. She and Uncle Carrie would get to screaming at each other. That usually meant they were already hitting the hard stuff. They like their old granddad whiskey, and by early afternoon, they could be down a bottle already. Hold on, y'all. Okay, sorry, y'all. I had to step away. I told you to fix that TV of mine a week ago," Grandma was screaming, "and the damn thing still don't work." "It was working till you started messing with the antenna," Carrie screamed. Carrie screamed back, "You the one who done fucked it up." "Me? Here you go again, blaming me for shit you can't do. What good are you around here if you can't even fix a goddamn television set? If it's so easy, you fix it. I'll fix it, you son of a bitch." It was World War III. Grandma and Carrie went at it something fierce. I couldn't tell if he was beating on her or it was her beating on him. Next thing I heard was Grandma yelling, "Rob! Rob! You get up here!" I ran upstairs and Grandma told me, "Go to Mr. Ickberg's store. Give me a pack of Pall Malls, a hunk of hog's head cheese, and some of them moon pies." I waited for money. "What you waiting for, boy?" "Cash money or food stamps." "Don't got either. Tell Mr. Ichabod I'll pay him on the first." I ran over to the store, wondering if Mr. Inkenberg would go along with Grandma's pay plan and let it slide. Now, he did. Back then, small neighborhood store owners still operated on the basic principle of trust and family ties. "You come from good people," he said. "Plus, I've never seen you try to steal anything from me, not even a candy bar." "Never would do nothing like that," I said. And with that, Mr. Inkenberg gave me an Almond Joy candy bar. Back at the house, after giving Grandma her stuff, I heard my stuttering Uncle Doug calling me from down in the basement. The basement was his kingdom. "Need your help, Rob. Get down here," he yelled. Uncle Doug was a mess. He had a big pot belly, wild woolly hair, and smelled like somebody's sweaty feet. That day, like so many others, drinking Wild Irish Rose straight out the bottle. He started in with stories about how he'd been shot 4 different times and stabbed another 6 times. I'd heard them all before. "You called me down to tell me stories, Uncle Doug?" I asked. No, boy. I called you down to see if this distant cousin of yours is here." "Which one?" "The one with the big titties." "Uncle Doug, why you always want to be looking at big titties? No harm in looking. Is she around?" "No." "Well, I'll just stay down here and let you help me get this job done." "What job?" "This here job behind the milk crates." Uncle Doug walked to the other end of the basement where he dumped nasty old car seats and junky lamps. Bunches of old records were scattered on the floor. Dirt and dust everywhere. When we moved the milk crates, I saw Tim Skins, our German shepherd, lying there. "Tim Skins asleep?" I asked. "No, Tim Skins dead." "Dead?" Dead, as in the bitch ain't breathing." "How he die?" "Accident." "What kind of accident?" "I said some poison in the peanut butter to kill the rats. Kill Timpkins instead. Mom's gonna be furious. I said, she loves that dog. She can't. No. How's she not gonna know? You ain't gonna tell her. Oh, can I stop right there? See, this is where the seed is planted. This is the reason why I don't tell my child not to tell me anything, or I stop. And I shared this story with you guys when I was talking about the whole situation with the R.Kelly when we was deep in it. I shared with you guys that those little seeds can be planted. Okay, seeds of dishonesty, you know what I'm saying, and having to be loyal and not saying anything. And you just so you know, it doesn't take a parent, it takes an outsider, a abuser, or whatever, to plant an uncle, cousin, whatever, to plant a seed in your child's head to be quiet, not to say anything. So quiet as is kept. If y'all notice, the uncle is telling him not to say anything. Okay. And that seed is now planted. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue. Welcome everybody coming in. See, that's what I don't play. I don't play about that. I remember, and I'm gonna share this again. Hold on, let me put this in the diary of me. I told my son not to say that to his little sister. Don't ever tell her not to say nothing. He was afraid of getting in trouble about something. And I told him, I was like, I'm as the parent, let me distinguish what is going to get you in trouble, what's not. But don't you ever tell your little sister not to say anything, because that'll cause her to feel like she can't say something because she's getting somebody in trouble. You feel me? So that seed was planted with him already that early on. Let's continue. When she comes to find out Timpkins ain't here, what we gonna say? You better not say nothing. The dogs disappear. Not this dog. This dog don't even go outside. He going outside now, because we burying him in that empty lot that down the street. Now put him in this bag and follow me. I follow my uncle's instructions. I knew better than to argue with my elders. Even when my elders did crazy things, Uncle Doug did the supervising. I did the digging, and after a long while, we managed to bury Timpkins. That night, when my mother got home, the first thing she asked was, "Where's my dog?" She looked at me. I looked away. She called up to Grandma and Carrie. They were asleep from a long day of drinking and fighting. She called down to Uncle Doug, who didn't answer. She looked at me again. "You know something, Rob? I can see it in your eyes," she said. "You ain't good at lying. Now tell the truth in anyone. Tell the truth in anyone." Maybe the food here. Mm-hmm. So y'all, this is the projects where he stayed in. Truth is what? Truth is Uncle Doug's rat poison killed Timpkins. "Oh Lord," she cried. "Now I'm gonna have to go down there and kill Uncle Doug." Next thing I heard was a big commotion from the basement. My mother was down there chasing Uncle Doug, and Uncle Doug was doing all he could to duck and hide. "You can run, you bastard," she said, "but you can't hide." Your boy's lying. Uncle Doug lied. I didn't kill your dog. My boy don't ever lie to me, said Joe and Kelly, and never will. There's only one motherfucker liar around here, and that's you. Now you gonna get me a new dog, or I'll kick your sorry ass from here to Mississippi. By noon the next day, Uncle Doug was presenting Mom with a newborn mongrel puppy. Women in the house. There were always women in our little house at 40th and King. There were cousins, aunties, friends of my aunties, all older women. When my mother wasn't home, the women ran a literal a litter a little freer, meaning that when my mom or my grandmother were home, they dressed a certain way. Ooh, this is so interesting, y'all. Maybe this is the reason why he had the girls dressed in a certain way. Let's get into this. It's a good read. There were always women in our little house at 40th and King. There were cousins, aunts, friends of my aunts, all older women. When my mother wasn't home, the women ran a literal freer, meaning that when my mom or uh, my grandmother were home, they dressed a certain way. Thank you, baby. Probably not. It's okay. I'm almost wrapping up though. When my mother and grandmother were out, they felt free to wear less clothing. You could see through their blouses. Sometimes they wore bras, sometimes they didn't. When they walked around in nightgowns or pajamas, you could see their panties. And on a few occasions, like on a very hot summer days, they wouldn't even wear panties. As a very young boy, I didn't think much of it. The women didn't really pay much attention to me or my brothers. I looked at them the way any kid would. Kids are naturally fascinated by body parts, and I was no different. As I crept up in age, though, and made my way through grammar school, I found myself more curious and sometimes aroused. And I was ashamed of being aroused, but there was no one I felt I could talk to about this. I couldn't have a sit down with my mother because I wouldn't know what to say or how to say it. There was no man that I trusted enough to share such shameful feelings with. Growing up with that shame has haunted me throughout my life. One winter, one winter afternoon, I came back from school early when my mother wasn't home, and as I came through the door, I heard a strange noise. It sounded like bed springs squeaking. The walls in our place were paper thin, and sound came through like there wasn't any walls at all. The squeaky got louder and louder. Then I heard voices. A woman screamed, but it didn't sound like a scream of panic or pain. Then I heard a man's voice shouting, but it wasn't in anger. Oh God, do it, do it, get it, right there, baby, right there, the woman pleaded. You like it, don't you, bitch? How much you want? How much can you take? The man shouted. Oh, you got, the woman shouted back. I was just 8 years old. I didn't understand what was happening. I thought the man was maybe hurting the woman, but that didn't seem right. I was confused, curious, so I went to see for myself. I crept toward the bedroom where the noises were coming from. They were doing so much hollering. I figured they wouldn't hear the door if I opened it just a little. I opened it just a little. Then I looked inside. I was just 8 years old. And man's backside was high in the air, coming down on that lady with her legs spread wide, her big booty propped up on a pillow. I didn't understand how it was all working, but he was moving down on her and she was coming up on him. First, the rhythm was slow, then faster, then crazy fast. They were screaming, moaning, going wild. I couldn't stop looking. I'd never seen nothing like this before. Screaming, cursing, bed sagging, bodies bumping. Just then, the woman caught sight of me. They stopped abruptly. "Little Robert, what you doing in here, boy?" I got scared and I started running. She shouted out, "Come on back, it's okay." They were still in bed, both of them naked. When she said, "You can watch, but you better not say shit to nobody about this." I knew the woman in my house weren't dressing or acting right. My mother or grandmother wouldn't dream of parading around the house half dressed. At the same time, I couldn't snitch. In my house and growing up in the hood, the number one rule was don't snitch, don't tell. It was the same as learning 2 plus 2 equals 4. It was drilled into you. And if you didn't know 2 plus 2 equals 4, you failed. In the hood, if you snitched, you weren't going to make it. Still, as I grew older, things began to change when I was around these women. When I was 9, they changed in a major way. I began to regret this code of silence. If my mother had known what was going on in the house. Wow. So, shame on his mom, right? Where was the parents of R. Kelly? Sounds like mama was working. Hmm. If my mother had known what was going on in the house, she probably would have burned the house down. She didn't play that. I wanted to tell her, but I had a hard time trying to figure out who would really be in trouble, me or them. At that age, I didn't really know how to handle it. Yeah, I knew it wasn't right, but I just didn't know how to say anything about it. Talking about it was strange, so I locked it away. That's my own little secret. Now, at the time, Mom was going out with Lucius, the man she later married when I was still a kid. I wasn't happy about it because I wanted her to stay home with me. But Lucius was okay. He was a nice man, nice to me, and most times nice to my mother. He liked to tell stories about his army days since my real daddy was long gone. I like listening to an older man talking about back in the day. I saw Lucius more like a big brother than a father. My mother and Lucius went out together often. Sometimes they left me with Uncle Doug. My brothers didn't like Lucius, but my attitude was different from theirs. Anything that made mom happy made me happy too. One Saturday evening, we were watching TV. Don't watch that television set all night, Mom said before she said Lucius left the house. Me and my brothers liked horror movies. We were watching the creature from the Black Lagoon when the TV crapped out. Picture went dead. I called up to Uncle Carrie to fix it, but he was snoring loud enough to wake the dead. My brothers went off to bed, but I kept banging on the TV, hoping to get the picture back. When it did pop, when it did pop back on, the monster was rising out of the Black Lagoon. I was waiting to see what would happen next when, just like that, the damn picture crapped out again. Disgusted, I fell asleep on the couch. I was far away in some dream when I heard that same noise. Bed springs squeaking. The guy yelling, "Tell me how much you like it, bitch." The lady screaming back, "Give it to me. Give me all you got." I got up and looked around the house to make sure my mother wasn't home yet. She was still out with Lucius. This time, I knew what all the noise was about, and truth to be told, I wanted to have another good look. I opened the door just enough to see them kicking it hard. I mean, they were deep into it. I stood there for a while, and just as I started to close the door, the woman spotted me. "Don't move, Rob," she said. I was scared, didn't know what to expect. "Come over here and get this camera." Oh, wow, y'all. Yes, it's Quaisha. I think I pronounced that right. This is his book, girl. And we connecting the dots over here. Wow. So this is where he's getting all of how he moves, y'all. This is good read. "Come over here and get this camera," she said. "Take a picture of us." I was dumbfounded. Couldn't say a word. "You do know how to use this thing, don't you?" I was too stunned to talk. All I could do was shake my head no. "It's easy," she said. "Just aim this camera and snap a goddamn picture." She gave me a Polaroid camera. The guy liked the idea as much as she did. They got into positions where I could see their private parts. I snapped a picture. When she showed me how it took only a minute to develop, I was amazed. The photographic technology impressed me more than the sex. She grabbed the photo and kept it for herself. I took the memory of them doing the dirty and stashed it inside my mom's brick box. A couple of Saturday nights later, Mom was out again and I was sitting on the couch with Uncle Doug. We were watching TV. My favorite show was The Jeffersons. But on this particular night, we were looking at Three's Company. Uncle Doug turned to me and asked, "Now, This here is every man's dream. Every man dreams of living with two women. Uh-oh. Which one do you like? The blonde, I said. Chrissy. Like both them bitches, Uncle Doug said. Ain't about to kick either one out of my bed. Halfway through the show, the TV went dead again. Carrie, Uncle Doug shouted. Where's that motherfucking lame ass repairman when we need him? Gone out with Grandma? I said. Uncle Doug let out a big sigh. Oh, well, we probably better off if he start fooling with the TV. The fucking thing will blow up and burn the house down. Boy, I've had enough for one day. I'm going to bed. Good night, Uncle Doug. Good night, Rob. I stayed on the couch, staring at the dark TV, thinking what it might be like to have a dad like George Jefferson. Someone with enough money to move us all into a fancy high rise in the sky. I started thinking of Jack Triple, the guy in Three's Company. No. And the cool but confusing situation that he was in. I drifted off to sleep and fell into a crazy dream about Three's Company when a strange feeling in my body woke me up. The feeling was down below my belt. I opened my eyes and saw that a female was playing with me. She was at least 10 years older than me. I was 8. What are you doing? I asked. You'll like it, she said. It'll be good. I'm sorry. It'll feel good. Look what happens when I rub it. She kept rubbing until I got hard. I didn't say anything. Then she put it in her mouth and started sucking. At first, I was scared. She was going to do something crazy like bite me. I tried to push her away, but she wouldn't stop until she was finished. When she said, you better not say shit to no one or else you're going to get a terrible whooping, she threatened. I knew she meant business. I knew to keep quiet every time she did it. And she did it repeatedly for years. She warned me about what would happen to me if I snitched. No matter how many times it happened, I knew I could never tell anyone. I was too afraid and too ashamed. All I could do was stash the secret and hide it in my imaginary brick box. Sunday morning. My belief in God has been with me since I was a little boy. And I still believe in God now. I believe in the grace and mercy of Jesus. That belief got seated in me when I was just a kid. No matter how many other crazy things jumped off in my life, God was always there. My mother made sure of that. On Sundays, I will put on my freshly ironed vest, black trousers, clean white shirt, little clip on bow tie, and follow mom to the little storefront church where we went to sing and pray. I had to get myself ready for a long day. Church went on for 3, sometimes 4 hours. The church didn't hold more than 25 people. It was no bigger than a liquor store or pizza joint. Our pastor was Mother Nance. Now, she had these big, frightening eyes, but was a sweet lady who was all about the Lord. Now, she preached her sermons like songs, singing the lessons she hoped to impart to us. A small band backed Mother Nance. The beats came from a drummer banking on nothing but a snare. He worked it hard, and the groove he laid down made me happy. The broken down organ had a bunch of missing keys. From where I sat, I could see the women at the old instrument, and don't ask me how when she hit a key that didn't work. I could feel in the missing note in my mind. It was a game I liked to play. I could hear the whole composition. Everyone else in the room had the music in 2D. I could hear it in 3D. When my mother got up, faced the congregation, and started in on Amazing Grace, she became a star. She sang so hard until everyone was standing and waving, shouting God's name. They loved my mother singing. When the saints heard I could sing, they wanted me to do a solo, but I was too shy. Besides, I figured mom sang good enough for the two of us. Later in the service, when I got a little bored with songs, I changed the words around. When everyone was singing Jesus in on the main line, tell him what you want, I sang, that girl in the choir is so fine, going to tell her what I want. And my lyrics went right along with the song. Once Aunt Rose, sitting right behind me, heard me and slapped me upside the head. Boy, she said, you better sing the right lyrics or I'm telling your mama. Service went on so long, I usually couldn't help but nod off. One time, I don't know how long I'd been snoozing, when a scream woke me up. It was my mother, Joanne Kelly, had caught the Holy Ghost and was shaking and shivering like she had some terrible fever. She was yelling out, ain't gonna smoke no more. Jesus God ain't gonna have another cigarette long as I live. Tears were streaming down her face. She was crying and talking in tongues, reaching into her purse, grabbing her pack of cigarettes and throwing them in the aisle. No more, she was yelling. Ain't gonna touch another one of these cancer sticks for the rest of my life. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. After church, we went home for a big Sunday dinner, which was always delicious. We were all filled up and satisfied. Now, mother was drinking her coffee when she leaned over and whispered to me, run over to Mr. Inkelberg's and get me a pack of Winston's. But Mom, I started to say, you heard me, boy. Now go. When I got back, my mother was waiting for me at the door. She took her Winston's, went to the bathroom, locked the door behind her, and lit up. When she was through, she sprayed the smell away with a can of aerosol. She didn't want anyone to know. But I knew. I knew more than I should have about the things that happened in our house. I was there the Sunday that Grandma came back from church and announced that she got saved. That man, you ain't drinking. That mean you ain't drinking no more of that old granddad whiskey? Mom asked. Not a drop, said Grandma. Uh, and what about your Pa Miles? Mom wanted to know. Quit smoking, quit cursing, just living for the Lord. I was surprised Grandma and Uncle Kerry loved their old granddad, and when they fought, they loved cussing up a storm. What about Kerry? He get saved along with you? Asked Mom. Yes, he did, Grandma. Carrie was standing Carrie was standing next to her. The man was all smiles. Well, my mother muttered. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Yes, he do, said Grandmother. He sure enough do. From that point on, Grandma's mood were more talking down to you than screaming at Uncle Kerry. In fact, we referred to Grandma and Uncle Kerry, who lived on the upper floor, as the upties. After Grandma got saved and indulged her uppity attitude, she and my mother would get into heavy arguments. For example, Grandma didn't like my mother playing bingo. You going against God? Grandma told her. Why you say that? I don't. The Bible does. Where in the Bible does it tell you not to play bingo? Back then, they didn't have no bingo. Proverbs 13:11. Dishonest money dwells away. But he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. That's what I'm doing, my mother said. I'm making my little money grow. Besides, nothing dishonest about bingo. You play the numbers, said Grandma. Everyone plays the numbers. Look here, Grandma exclaimed, opening her Bible. Ecclesiastes 5:10. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied. I didn't say I love money. I just said I need money. We need money. You need money. We need God. We got God, her daughter said. But to keep from getting kicked out of this here house, we got to pay rent. And you telling me that if I hit the number and collect a few thousands, you won't be following me to the nicer house? I'm following Jesus to wherever he leads. Well, I believe Jesus is leading me to the numbers, man. Because this week I got a good hunch. But if my number do come in, I won't bother telling you. I don't want my Bible believing mother covered in my sin. With that, my mother walked out of the room. Grandma gave me a look as if to say, boy, you better not smile. I didn't. Enjoying the ride. I want to do my homework and get all A's. I wanted to prove myself and make my mother proud. But every time I made up my mind to conquer the problem and start reading, every time I opened a book, my mind would turn off. School days. When I was at church, I learned to sing the words from memory. But at school, when it came time to open the book and read silently, or out loud, I couldn't focus on the words. I didn't even see words. Every time my teacher called on me to read, my heart sank. I choked up. I stammered and stuttered. It was terrible because the other kids would start giggling. I felt like a cripple and an alien. Here were my schoolmates learning like nobody's business, building up their vocabularies, reading all these stories. I wanted to read so bad I could taste it. I wanted to do what everyone else was doing, but the more I tried, the worse it became. Trying to learn how to read and spell in school for me was like throwing a brick on top of the Sears Tower. That's how hard it was for me. I really tried hard because if for no other reason, I didn't want the other kids calling me a dummy. I'd look around at every other kid and they were reading and writing and spelling and doing math. They were going forth with their books and their studies. But when it came to me, being able to study, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't make sense of the words on the page. I desperately wanted to learn how to read, so I made a hell of an effort. But the more I tried to study, my mouth would get dry. I get sleepy and start yawning the minute I even tried to read a book or study spelling. I wanted to do my homework and get all A's. I wanted to prove myself and make my mother proud. But every time I made up my mind to conquer the problem and start reading, every time I opened a book, my mind would turn off. Time and again, I'd make a mess out of this whole reading business, and I'd wish that the ground would open and swallow me up whole. I didn't know what to think about myself. Was I sick? Was I really a dummy? What was wrong with me? Those thoughts scared me to death. But I was too afraid to say anything to anybody. You got genius, my mother told me after a day at school where kids were laughing at me because I couldn't read. I wanted to believe my mother, but it was hard. To me, as a kid, if you were a good reader, it meant you had a good brain. If you were a bad reader, it meant you had no brain. Bad reader meant you were obviously a dummy. Now, it wasn't until I was an adult that an educator told me about dyslexia. Sorry, y'all. Said dyslexia is where kids have trouble learning to read or interpret words. She also said it's got nothing to do with your intelligence. Now, Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, and even Leonardo da Vinci all had some form of dyslexia. But my disability is something more than dyslexia. They still don't know what caused my problem. I do. That sexual trauma you went through. That's neither here nor there. I'll never know if it was possibly brain damage, as one specialist diagnosed, or an accident of spirit, God's way of making sure that I fulfill my destiny. Another crazy thing about my reading problem is that I've always loved words. Still do. I love stories about faraway places and different kinds of people. I wanted to be able to read those stories like everyone else. I always loved listening to how different people, my mother, my aunts, Uncle Doug, Lucius, told stories, each in their own special way. I instinctively understood the power of language, and the magic of storytelling from a very young age. Words had a spirit that got all over me. Depending on how they were used, words could scare me, comfort me, encourage me, make me happy, or make me sad. It broke my heart that I found it so hard. In fact, downright impossible to read words on paper. Outside of school, I spent a good amount of time with my brothers, Bruce and Carrie. My mother wanted all her kids to get along. Y'all are blood, she would remind us. Y'all need to be there for each other. Sometimes that was easy, especially if it involved kung fu. Me and my brothers were deep into Bruce Lee. We'd go to the Met movie theater on King Drive down the street from where we lived and sit in there hypnotized by films like Into the Dragon and Fist of Fury. Bruce Lee was our man. From his light and fast nunchucks to his awesome sword work, to the way he downed a dozen opponents without breaking a sweat. He had that cut up 12 pack body, that attitude, that look in his eyes that said, I don't know the meaning of fear. When we left the theater, we were out of our minds with Bruce Lee cockiness, and we were worked up and ready to roll against anyone who even looked at us funny. We'd come out of that movie kicking like we actually knew what we were doing. You better not try to challenge us after a Bruce Lee flick. Big Bro Bruce and Little Bro Killer. We called Carrie Killer after a Flip Wilson character Grandma loved came charging out of a Bruce Lee film, high on the action we just seen. Man, we were flying on that Bruce Lee energy. We got home, playing like we were actually in the movie. When I had landed a roundabout kick on Killer that sent him through our living room window, he got a little cut up and felt some pain, but it was nothing like the pain we'd feel when Mom got home. We knew that if we didn't think of something quick, Mom would give us the worst whooping of our lives. So we started thinking and plotting, trying to come up with a story that we were sure Mom would buy. We got it all planned out. We thought we were real smart. Mom came home and right off yelled, "What the hell happened in here?" Big Bro Bruce led off. Me and Killer were his backup. We was just sitting in the living room watching TV, said Bruce, when someone, maybe they were gang members or something, came by hollering and screaming, and the next thing we know, they threw this brick through the window. We ran. Hold on, where am I at? Okay, there go. We ran to see who it was, but by then they were long gone. You see, Mom, the brick is still there, right where it landed. Thank goodness it didn't hit any of us. We were lucky, Mom, real lucky. My mom stood there, just staring at us. I mean, seriously staring. Gonna ask you boys again, she said. What happened? Me and Killer backed up Bruce's story. We said we said how scared we were when that brick came flying through. Mom kept staring. Her eyes were like laser beams going through our heads. I'm going to ask you one more time, boys, and then I'm going to get me the biggest switch I can find and start whooping your behinds until I hear the truth. The thought of a whipping had us start defending ourselves even harder. We kept saying we were minding our own business, how we were being how we were being good boys, how we didn't do nothing wrong, and then here came this brick. Then came the bullet. Mom just stood there, shaking her head. We saw that she wasn't buying a word of it. But at the same time, to our little brains, our story seemed bulletproof. If what y'all say is true, she said, then why is all the broken glass out there on the porch? Why ain't there no broken glass here on the inside? If someone throws a brick in the window, how does the glass shatter backwards? We hadn't thought of that. Of course, my mother was right. There wasn't a shard of glass in the living room. The only thing in the living room was that brick sitting on the floor, the cleanest brick you ever saw. It wasn't even sitting crooked. Now, for days after that, we could barely sit at all. Mom whooped our asses good. All we got out of the whole thing was a bad memory from her switch of fury. Bruce Lee created the kick butt genre of kung fu movies that paved the way for everyone who followed him, from Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal, and Jean-Claude Van Damme to Jackie Chan. The death of our indestructible hero when Lee's brain swelled in his sleep and he died in 1973 was a painful pill that my brothers and I tearfully swallowed. There were times like these when my brothers and I stuck together. Other times, we could barely stand being in the same room, especially Carrie and me. I never got along too well with my little brother, and we used to fight all the time. One night, I wanted to watch Good Times, and he didn't. He had another program he thought was better. Nothing was better than Good Times. I not only love the show, but I love the theme song, and I love singing it to this day. Now, the show opened with a shot of a high-rise housing project. Although it was never mentioned in the opening credits, everyone in Chicago knew it was our very own Cabrini Green. Back then, the hard y'all, I had a text come through. Back then, the hard and good times, the Evans family, Florida, and James, JJ, Delma, and Michael, the militant midget, faced on every episode was absolute reality TV to me. But Carrie was watching an old Three Stooges movie and wouldn't let me change channels. He took a swing at me and landed a blow to my left eye. My eye got puffy and I got crazy mad, crazy angry. I grabbed a broom from the kitchen and started chasing him. I planned to hit him over the head with this broom and chased him into the bathroom. Our mother yelled for us to cut it out, but we kept fighting. If y'all don't stop, she screamed, I'm coming in there. I still wasn't stopping. I got carried back into that bathroom when Mom showed up. She happened to be carrying a knife she'd been using to slice some vegetables. I didn't know she was directly behind me, so when I stepped back, I stepped into her knife and got cut. Blood was gushing everywhere, and I was hollering, y'all trying to kill me! Mom wants to kill me! My mother dropped the knife and grabbed me, crying, said she was sorry. She immediately started to bandage me up. Turns out the cut wasn't all that deep, but that didn't keep me from hollering like a baby. My mother always wanted to show us how families should be able to lean on each other and stand by one another. I wanted to please and obey her. Take your brother, Carrie, to the park, Rob, she said one day. Let him play on the swings, but don't push him too high. When we got to the playground, Carrie was happy as could be. He loved those swings. He jumped on and asked me to push him. I gave him a shove. Higher, he screamed. I pushed him higher. Higher, he screamed even louder. So I pushed him even higher. Little bro was having the time of his life. Higher, he kept demanding. Now, I knew not to push any higher because he was already flying super high. But he was insistent, so I kept pushing while he kept sailing higher until the swing got loose. I saw him get caught on the chain. He came flying off and hit the grass. Kerry was a mess. Blood all over. He was crying. I was scared. But somehow I got him home. Mom rushed him to the emergency room. All I could think was, God, what have I done to my little brother? One secret was about what was happening to me in the house. Next was my secret about reading and writing. And the third secret, strange as it seems, was music. Secrets. All right, y'all. We're going to stop there. We're on page 55, and we're going to continue this evening. Ooh, this is a good read. This is a good read, y'all. This is a good read. So thank you guys for joining me for this read. We're going to continue tonight. No, excuse me. Oh, goodness, sorry. We're going to continue tonight for the continuation of R.Kelly Soulacoaster, The Diary of Me. Okay, we're about to get into his secrets. Okay, he's about to break down his secrets. Okay, this is a awesome read. Tell me what you guys think. It's good. It's good, right, West Coast? This is a freaking stinking good read. Okay, and what we've heard so far is just the seeds being planted. The seeds being planted. You know, and this is why the verdict in the whole situation is very sad. You know, to say the least, because you can see where all this transpired. You know what I'm saying? Not don't say nothing and all this stuff like that and get in touch and seeing. First and foremost, let's talk about being exposed to sex in itself. That's something that's damaging. You know what I'm saying? That's why, to me, in this day in society, it's not about even just gay sex, whatever. It's about straight sex, any sex. It's just something that shouldn't be put out there to a child. You know what I'm saying? So we will continue tonight at 7:30 Central Standard Time. So same bad place, same bad time. Join me tonight, you guys, as we continue to read Soulacoaster, man. This is good. Okay. So I love you guys. Take care. See you guys this evening. And yeah. If there's nothing more, I'll be in the comments seeing what you guys gotta say. Love y'all. Be blessed.
Y'all killing me with this. I can't help. Robert. I can't help. You're killing me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment.
Man, y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me. Y'all trying to kill me. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with this. Y'all killing me with killing me, man. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. You don't want to believe it. Trying to kill me. Killing me, man. Trying to kill me. I hope this camera keep going. Stupid R.Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R.Kelly. Ain't do it. Stupid R.Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R.Kelly. Ain't do it. 30 years. You